Someone is at the front door.
Oh yes. Alexa, what are we doing today?
Installing the MiataRoadster short throw shifter kit on the Ecotec Miata, of course.
Hello everybody, today we will be installing the MiataRoadster short throw shifter kit on the Ecotec Miata. It's still not wrapped, still not lowered. This winter, I promise, it'll get done. So here we are inside the Miata. You can see I have this infamous Designs shift knob, the 525. It weighs 525 grams. It's very heavy, but it feels very nice. Just a nice little aftermarket shift knob. So first step for this install is going to be removing the shift knob. Comes off very easily, and it comes off just like that. So this is, I forgot how heavy that thing is. This thing is awesome. It's got like a nice holographic decal on it. All stainless steel, got like the heat blue. Yeah, this is a great shift knob. You can't buy them anymore, but it's awesome. Next up, we're gonna wanna remove this useless cup holder thing, and then there's a screw here, one on the other side too, and then in the glove box, you can see I have some, there's the original shifter, and this is an N2MB watt box. I tried making a video on it. Basically gives you two-step and stuff. I was never able to get it to work. I'm still working on that. Once I get it to work, I will make a video on it, but that's still a work in progress. But in here, there's a screw here and a screw here. Those need to come out, and then the center console will just lift right up. All right, so I have all the screws out. This should just pop on up. Yep. Ignore the wiring for the watt box. All right, center console's out. I'm just gonna put it behind the seat. Oh, I had a pair of pliers under it. I must have forgot about. That's actually pretty funny. So yeah, ignore the wiring. If you have a stock Miata, none of this wiring will be here. But you know, it's not perfect. Because we're gonna be taking the car out of gear, make sure your e-brake's off. Now, we're going to take off this boot, which you can see my boot's kind of destroyed. It's just held in with 4 10mm bolts right here, 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 and here. Go ahead and get those out. There's one of them. Gotta remember to reattach that to a ground. That's for the watt box. Alright, that's all 4 now. This rubber boot now should just pull on up. This should be, yep, that's not attached anymore. And then this rubber boot might need some persuasion from sitting on here for so long. There we go. That's gross. You can see that that really didn't hold up too well over the years. Inside's just kind of ripping out, but we have a replacement one, so that's not a problem. You can see now that there is 1, 2, 3 bolts holding the shifter turret on. This is the transmission right here. This is the 5-speed transmission. We don't have the 6-speed in this yet, but these 3 bolts, we're going to take them out. This is going to come up. We could actually discard those bolts because the short throw shift kit comes with new bolts. Go ahead and get the first one out. So with the 3 bolts removed, you can see the shifter turret just lifts on out. This is where we are going to be having fun and installing things. Since we're going to be dealing with like oil and grease and stuff, I picked a really good day to wear white. All right, so since we're going to be taking this out and this is covered in oil, I'm just going to get a paper towel here just to kind of reduce the amount of mess that we're going to have. It's actually not terribly oily. All right, since this is the 5-speed, I'm gonna go ahead, take out this little bushing and the spring right here. You can see those are pretty gross. They're nice and covered in grease. Now we're gonna install the new wave spring that came with the kit. This is actually an official Mazda part, so that's really cool. See right here, so the inside looks like, and there's this little pin that's sticking out right here. We want to slide this under it so that it sits right on that little ledge. And then, so that's in there correctly now. So yeah, it just kind of sits in there on that little ledge, and we're good to go on that. So now we're gonna take what the instructions call the Delrin tip bushing, and we're gonna lower it down through the turret into the bore of the actuator rod block, which is that kind of square looking thing down there. So the method for this is you're gonna take your finger, stick the bushing on it. All right, so we're gonna take this, put it down into the actuator rod block. It says snug fit down there. Make sure it's sitting there nice. You can see it down in there nicely with our little wave spring here that we already installed. But yeah, that's looking good so far. All right, so with the tip bushing in there and the little wave spring, you can see that the shifter turret doesn't have any lubrication in it, which it needs. So I am just going to use some gear oil, 80W90. You can use literally anything in this. This isn't gonna heat up super hot, and the shifter turret, the lubrication up there in the shifter turret, it doesn't go into the actual transmission, so you could use literally any type of oil in here. It's not super critical. But to fill this, it's very simple. You literally just pour in the gear oil into the hole for the shifter turret, being careful not to spill any. And you're going to fill this up until the oil is all the way up to the top of the tip bushing. You can see that didn't require much at all. It just goes all the way up to the tip bushing. You can see it down in there. Next up, we're going to take this little Delrin bushing. You can see there's shallow holes on the top and longer holes on the bottom. And you can see there's like kind of a conical seat in it. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to apply some of this ARP fastener assembly lubricant. We're going to apply a little bit all around the edges, and then we're going to set this down into the shifter turret with the longer holes on the bottom. So just put a little bit on it, kind of spread it around with my finger, make a huge mess of things. All right, so you can see it's all lubricated. Now we're just going to simply set it on into the shifter turret housing on the transmission. All right, so with that bushing in, we're going to take this little aluminum ring. You can see one side has a gasket on it, and the other side, it's just aluminum, and then you can see it has the 2 pins in it that are gonna index with that. So I just have to figure out, yep, so that's the right orientation for it. See, that's gonna line up with the 3 bolt holes. Just goes on like that. Lines up nicely. All right, so next up, we're gonna take our shifter shaft here. This is the angled one, the nice long angled one. I love the look of these. I've heard good things about them, so I'm gonna give this one a try. You can see that it's got like some vinyl tubing on each end. We're gonna go ahead and cut that off with a razor blade real quick. Being careful not to cut the actual shifter. So now that we have the vinyl tubing off of it, we can go ahead and apply some of the ARP assembly lubricant to the fulcrum ball and the lower ball. All right, so now we could go ahead and line up the 2 notches with the plastic inserts with the 2 rods and the plate that we put on the shifter turret. Go ahead and make sure everything lines up down in there. Good. Line that up. That went down in there nicely. Next up, we're just going to take these little washers, the bolt, start bolting it together. Make sure it goes all the way through into the transmission. Kind of just go around. Don't do one at a time. Kind of go around and do them kind of evenly. All right, that should be good now. Oh, wow. That is a short throw shifter. Holy smokes. Wow. That feels really good. No slop in it. That's awesome. Make sure those are all tight now. Cool. Now we can take our new heat shield. You can see in a funky font it says this side down. Go ahead and take that off. And then put this side down. Now we can take our new rubber boot, the little dust cover, slip that on down. Being careful not to pinch any of these million wires in it. Now I'm going to bolt this down using the included hardware. Alright, now that we have this boot on, you can see it sits on there pretty nicely, but I'm going to take a zip tie just to make sure it's nice and on there, making sure no dust or heat gets up into the cab. Then go ahead and cut that off. There we go. Oh, that feels so good. Alright, so now we're going to put on some of the insulation. It comes with a lot of insulation. I'm not going to use it all. Now we can go ahead and reinstall the center console, just like you would in a stock Miata. Reinstall the useless cup holder. Alright, and then last but not least, we're going to install the all-important infamous design shift knob, the 525. Alright, it is on, and that feels great. I love the feeling of that. The curve on this, didn't know how I was going to feel about it, but I'm really liking it. Oh wow, that is cool. I really like this height because you could, well, there's no steering wheel on it, but it's nice that your hand could be on the steering wheel and then just easily go right to the right of it, and then just doesn't have to travel as far to where the stock shifter was. It just can go right over, and the throws on that, it's technically a short throw because the throws down in the shifter turret are shorter, but up here you could see it's, you know, longer, so the throws appear to be longer, but that feels awesome. I love that. This was a great investment for the Ecotec Miata. This feels so much better than stock, and I really like how the Miata feels from the factory, the shifter on it. It feels almost like a short throw. It's nice and clicky, but I just love how this feels. Well, I was planning on actually driving and testing the car with the new short throw shifter kit on it, but this kind of happened. It's our first snow of the year. It's pretty dismal, and these tires would not appreciate roads like that. This is actually the first time this car has had snow on it, to my knowledge. This car came from the southern United States. That's where it lived all of its life until I purchased it here, and I live in Pennsylvania, so our winters get kind of bad sometimes. But yeah, once the roads clear up a little bit and I'm actually able to drive the car, I don't really want to drive it on the salty roads and give it rust, because there's currently no rust on the car. But once I'm able to drive it, I'll be sure to give you guys a good reaction of that and see how good the MiataRoadster short throw shifter kit is. Until then, be sure to subscribe for more Ecotec Miata and also Mark 6 GTI content. There's some stuff going on with this car right now I need to make a video on. Until then, be sure to check out the other videos I have on my channel on the Ecotec Miata and the Mark 6. I'll see you all next time.